He saved me, Mom. The alien queen meets the human who brought her daughter back. The alarm bells rang through Station Omega-7 like angry metal birds. Red lights flashed in the corridors, painting everything in shades of danger. Princess Liria pressed her small blue hands against her pointed ears, trying to block out the terrible sounds. She was only 7 years old in human years, though her people aged differently. Her silver hair sparkled even in the emergency lighting, and her large golden eyes were wide with fear. Just minutes ago, she had been walking with her mother's guards through the space station's main corridor. They were visiting this place for important talks between her people, the Zephyrians, and other alien races. Now she was alone. The emergency doors had slammed shut without warning. The guards were on the other side, shouting her name in their language, but the thick metal walls blocked their voices. Liria had run down a side hallway when the first explosion happened. She didn't know it was just a power generator failing. To her, it sounded like their enemies had found them. "Mama?" she whispered in Zephyrian, her voice barely making a sound. The station's computer voice spoke in the common trade language. "Emergency Protocol 7 active. All non-essential personnel report to safe zones. Repeat emergency protocol. 7 active." Liria didn't understand most of the words. Her teachers had only started showing her other languages. She knew some basic words, but not enough. The sounds scared her more. She found a small opening in the wall where some pipes went through. It was just big enough for her tiny body. Without thinking, she crawled inside. The metal was cold against her skin, but it felt safer than the bright corridor with its screaming alarms far above her. Queen Zara of the Zephyrian Empire stood in the station's command center. Her tall, elegant form was rigid with worry. Her silver robes, which usually flowed like water, now seemed heavy with fear. "Status report," she commanded. Her voice was steady, but her golden eyes showed her terror. "Commander Thax." Her chief military officer checked his datapad. "Your Majesty, the emergency seals have divided the station into 47 sections.
Our
Sensors show Princess Liria's life sign is somewhere in the lower maintenance levels, and send teams immediately." "We have, Your Majesty." But the maintenance areas were not built to our standards. The passages are narrow and twist in ways that make no sense. Our soldiers are ... having difficulty. Queen Zara closed her eyes for a moment. Her people were masters of space travel and technology. Their ships could cross galaxies. Their weapons could destroy planets. But they built everything with perfect order and logic. This old human-built station was chaos made of metal. It had been added to and changed so many times that even the original builders would be lost in it. "How long until we can cut through the emergency seals?" 6 hours minimum, Your Majesty. Maybe 8. The human safety systems are ... very strong. 8. Ours Liria was just a child. She would be terrified, alone in the dark metal maze below them. 3 levels down. Marcus Chen wiped sweat from his forehead and checked his tool belt. He was 42 years old, with graying black hair and kind brown eyes behind safety glasses. He had worked on Station Omega-7 for 15 years, fixing things that broke and making things work that shouldn't. Marcus wasn't supposed to be in this section during an emergency, but someone had to check the power relays, or the whole station might lose life support. He moved through the maintenance tunnels like he was walking through his own home. Every pipe, every cable, every odd turn was familiar to him. The air recycler near Section 12 was making a strange sound. Marcus stopped and listened. His trained ear could tell the difference between normal machine noise and trouble. This was different. It almost sounded like ... double quotes. "Hello?" The sound stopped. Marcus frowned. He pulled out his flashlight and shined it toward the air recycler. Nothing looked wrong with the machine. But there, behind it, was one of the old access tunnels. It was barely big enough for a person to crawl through, and something was definitely in there. Marcus got down on his hands and knees. "Hello?" he said again, even softer this time. "Are you okay in there?" A small whimper answered him. It didn't sound human. "Oh no," Marcus said to himself. The diplomatic meeting. There were alien children on the station. One of them must be trapped. He couldn't fit in the tunnel, but he could see a little way inside with his flashlight. Golden eyes reflected the light back at him. They were wide with terror. "Hey there," Marcus said in the gentlest voice he could manage. "It's okay. You're safe now." The eyes blinked but didn't move closer. Marcus thought fast. The child was scared and probably didn't speak much human language. How could he show that he wanted to help? He reached into his lunch bag and pulled out an apple. Slowly, he took a bite and made happy sounds. Good," he said, holding the apple where the child could see it. The eyes moved a little closer. "That's it," Marcus encouraged. "I'm Marcus. I work here. Fix things when they break." He pointed to himself and smiled. "Marcus. Friend." A tiny voice spoke from the tunnel. The words were musical and flowing, nothing like any language Marcus had ever heard. But the meaning was clear. The child was asking a question. Marcus nodded. Like he understood. "Yes, friend. I want to help you." He held out the apple again. "Are you hungry?" A small blue hand reached out from the tunnel. The fingers were longer than human fingers, with an extra joint. They took the apple carefully. "There you go," Marcus said. "Good. Can you come out here with me? It's safer." More musical words came. From the tunnel, this time they sounded sad and scared. Marcus had an idea, pulled out his datapad and started drawing with his finger on the screen. First he drew a stick figure of himself with his tool belt. Then he drew the tunnel with the child inside. Finally, he drew both figures together in the bigger space. With the child safe, he turned the pad so the child could see it. The golden eyes looked at the drawing for a long time. Then, very slowly, a small blue face appeared at the opening of the tunnel. Marcus had never seen a Zafarian child before. She was beautiful, with silver hair that seemed to glow and skin the color of a clear sky. But she was also clearly hurt. There was a cut on her arm, and she was holding one leg carefully. "Oh, sweetheart," Marcus said. "You're hurt. Let me help you." The child said something in her language and pointed up toward the ceiling. Her voice was urgent. "Your mama," Marcus guessed.
"You want your mama?"
The child nodded quickly and said what sounded like mama in her own language. Marcus smiled and nodded. "Okay, we'll get you back to your mama. But first, let's take care of these cuts. Can you come out here with me?" Princess Liria looked at this strange human man with his kind eyes and gentle voice. Everything her tutors had taught her said that humans were unpredictable and dangerous. But this one had shared his food with her. He had drawn pictures to talk to her. Most importantly, he had said the word that meant everything to her, right? Now Mama slowly, carefully, she crawled out of the tunnel and into Marcus Chen's waiting hands. Marcus gently helped Princess Liria sit on a maintenance crate. She was so small and light, like holding a bird made of starlight. Her golden eyes watched every move he made, still frightened but no longer trying to hide. "Let me look at that." "Arm," Marcus said softly, pointing to the cut on her blue skin. Dark purple blood had dried around the wound. He had no idea if Zafarian blood was supposed to be purple, but it didn't look infected. Liria pulled her arm back and said something in her musical language. Her voice was higher now, worried. Marcus held up his hands to show he meant no harm. "It's okay, I just want to help." He reached into his toolkit and pulled out his first aid supplies. Every maintenance worker carried basic medical gear, just in case. He opened a small bottle of cleaning solution and showed it to her. Then he poured a tiny bit on his own hand to demonstrate it was safe. "See? It won't hurt." The little princess watched carefully, said something that sounded like a question. Marcus nodded and smiled. "Yes, it's to clean the cut. Make it better." Slowly, Liria held out her injured arm. Marcus worked as gently as he could. The cleaning solution fizzed slightly when it touched her blood, but Liria didn't pull away. She was braver than many adult humans he knew. "Good girl," Marcus said. "Very brave." While he worked, Marcus tried to learn more words in her language. He pointed to her arm and said arm in human common language. Liria said something musical back. Marcus repeated it, probably getting it wrong. But she smiled for the first time. She pointed to his brown eyes and said another word. Marcus pointed to her golden eyes and tried to say the same word. She giggled and corrected him. It sounded like Thaloro, but with extra notes he couldn't make. Thaloro, Marcus tried again. Close, Liria said in perfect common language. Marcus stared at her. You speak our language? Liria looked embarrassed. Little bit. Learning in school, but scared words. Go away. That's okay, Marcus said, relieved. When we're scared, it's hard to remember things, even for grown-ups. He finished bandaging her arm with medical tape and gauze. The cut on her leg was smaller but deeper. As he cleaned it, Liria gripped the edge of the crate. Hurts? Marcus asked. Little bit, she said. Copying his phrase from before, Marcus smiled. You're learning fast. He worked quickly but carefully. What's your name, Liria? She said. Princess Liria? Marcus's hand stopped for just a second. A princess. He was fixing up alien royalty with maintenance supplies in a tunnel. Oh. Princess Liria? It's very nice to meet you. You've been in such a strange place. What is strange? Unusual? Different from normal? Yes. Finished bandaging her leg. They're all better. Liria looked at the white bandages on her blue skin. She touched them carefully, then looked up at Marcus with something like wonder in her golden eyes. Why you help? I not human. The question hit Marcus like a physical blow. She was just a child, hurt and scared, and she was surprised that someone would help her because she looked different. Because you needed help, Marcus said simply. That's what we do. When someone is hurt, we help them. It doesn't matter what they look like. Liria stared at him for a long moment. All humans like this? Marcus thought about it. Well, most of us try to be. We're not perfect. But when we see a child who needs help, ... he shrugged. We help. Above them, the station shook slightly as another power system failed. The lights flickered. We need to get you back to your mother, Marcus said. Called up the station map. The command center is ... Oh no. What wrong? Marcus studied the map. The emergency seals had cut off all the main passages. The only way to reach the upper levels from here was through maintenance tunnels, old cargo, shafts, and service corridors. Some of those areas hadn't been inspected in months. His communicator crackled to life. All maintenance staff report to emergency stations. We have multiple system failures in sections 7 through 15. Marcus clicked his communicator. Chen here. I'm in section 12 with a ... situation, Marcus. Came the voice of his supervisor, Janet. Need to evacuate that area. The structural supports are showing stress fractures. It's not safe. I can't leave right now, Janet. I found one of the alien kids. She's hurt. There was a pause. Zephyrian search teams are handling that, Marcus. They have special equipment. And protocols. Marcus looked at the map again. The Zephyrian teams were 3 levels up, moving slowly and methodically through the main corridors. At their current pace, it would take them hours to reach this section. And they were avoiding all the areas marked as potentially unstable. But Marcus knew this station. He had crawled through every tunnel, fixed pipes in every shaft, and replaced cables in every corner. The areas marked potentially unstable weren't dangerous if you knew what to look for. The supports might be old, but they were solid. Warnings were just because nobody had done official inspections recently. Janet, the kid, is hurt and scared. The Zephyrian teams are going to take too long. Marcus, you're not trained for this. Let the professionals handle it. Marcus looked. At Liria, she was listening to the conversation, understanding more than she let on. Her golden eyes were worried again. What'd he say? She asked quietly. He says other people are coming to help, Marcus said. But even as he said it, he knew it wasn't the whole truth. His communicator crackled again. This time, it was a different voice speaking in the formal tones of Zephyrian military communication, human station control. This is Commander Thax. Our sensors indicate you have located Princess Liria. Please maintain her position. Our rescue teams will reach her in approximately 6.7 hours. 6 hours. Marcus looked at Liria's bandages. They were already showing tiny spots of purple where blood was seeping through. She needed proper medical attention, not just first aid with maintenance supplies. 6 hours too long, Liria said quietly. She had understood the transmission. Marcus made a decision that would change everything. Princess, he said, how do you feel about an adventure? Liria tilted her head, confused by the word. Marcus pulled up the station map on his datapad and showed her a route marked in red. It went through maintenance shafts, cargo holds, and service tunnels. Some sections were marked with warning symbols. This is the fast way to the medical center, Marcus said, but it's not the safe way. The computers say it's dangerous? You think dangerous? Liria asked. Marcus studied the route. He had been through most of these areas before. The warnings were mostly about things like low ceiling clearance and irregular footing. Dangerous. For people who didn't know the station, but not impossible for someone who did. I think it's tricky, Marcus said. But I think we can do it together. Liria looked at the map, then at Marcus. Other humans. They wait for safe way? Yes, they follow rules. They wait for the right equipment and the right people. But you not wait? Marcus smiled. Sometimes, Princess, the right thing to do isn't the safe thing to do. Sometimes you have to be a little brave and a little crazy to help someone you care about. Liria was quiet for a moment. Then she stood up carefully, testing her injured leg. It held her weight. I trust you, Marcus, human. She said, you fix my hurts. You give me food. You make me not scared. She pointed to the red route on the map. We go adventure way? Marcus felt something warm grow in his chest. This small alien child was willing to trust him completely, even though they had just met, even though he was asking her to go into areas that the computers said were dangerous. Yes, he said. We go the adventure way. He packed his tools and the remaining first aid supplies. Liria watched him work, learning his movements, trying to understand how humans solve problems. Marcus human. Just Marcus is fine. Marcus... ... Why humans not scared of dangerous? Marcus thought about the question as he shouldered his tool bag. We are scared, he said. But we're more scared of letting down people we care about. Fear of losing someone is stronger than fear of getting hurt. Liria nodded seriously, like he had explained something very important. Ready, Princess? Ready, Marcus? Together they stepped into the red-marked tunnel that would take them through the heart of the station's forgotten places. Behind them, the official rescue teams continued their slow, methodical search through the approved safe zones. Ahead of them lay a journey that would test everything Marcus knew about the station, and everything Liria believed about humans. The maintenance tunnel was darker than Marcus remembered. His flashlight cut through the shadows as he and Princess Liria moved carefully through the narrow space. The tunnel was just tall enough for Marcus to walk bent over, but Liria could stand up straight. How you know this way? Liria asked, her small hand holding on to Marcus's tool belt so she wouldn't get lost in the darkness. I built some of these paths myself, Marcus said, pointing to where newer pipes joined older ones. When something breaks, sometimes we have to make new ways to reach it. Came to a junction where 3 tunnels met. Marcus pulled out his datapad and checked their position on the station map. Medical bay is just above us, he said. We go up this shaft, through the old cargo area, and we're there. Liria looked up at the vertical shaft. Metal rungs were built into the wall like a ladder. I can climb, she said. Zephyrian children learn climbing for our tall buildings. Good. Stay close behind me. If you get tired, tell me, and we'll rest. Marcus climbed first, testing each rung to make sure it was solid. Liria followed, moving like she was dancing up the ladder, even injured. She was graceful in a way that amazed Marcus. They climbed 2 levels before reaching the cargo area. It was a huge empty space, filled with old storage containers and forgotten equipment. Emergency lights gave everything a red glow. Almost there, Marcus said, checking his map again. According to the blueprints, the medical bay was just through the next door, but when they reached the door, Marcus's heart sank. A red warning light flashed above it, and the electronic lock showed an error message. What wrong? Liria asked. Seeing his expression, Marcus tried his maintenance access code on the door panel. Nothing happened. He tried the emergency override code. Still nothing. The station's computer system is broken, Marcus said. It's not letting anyone into the medical bay. He pulled out his communicator and tried to contact the command center. Control, this is Chen. The medical bay door is locked down. I need an emergency override. Static answered him for several seconds. Then Janet's voice came through, cracked and distant. Marcus, where are you? We're getting strange readings from your location. I'm at Medical Bay Access Door 7 Alpha. The system won't accept any codes. Marcus, the main computer is having problems. The AI thinks there's a contamination threat in the medical section. It sealed everything off. It's felt a chill. Contamination? What kind? We don't know. Sensors are giving bad information. Technical team says it will take at least 4 hours to reset the system safely. For more hours. Marcus looked at Liria's bandages. The purple spots were getting bigger. She was losing blood slowly but steadily. Can't you just shut it down and restart it? Marcus asked. Marcus, this is station life support we're talking about. We can't just turn it off and on again. We have to follow safety protocols. But there's no real contamination, right? Sensors are just broken, probably. But we can't take the risk. We have to assume the threat is real until we can prove it isn't. Marcus understood the logic. It was the safe thing to do. It's a smart thing. It's a thing that would protect the most people. But it wouldn't save Liria. He clicked off the communicator and stared at the sealed door. Then he looked at his tool bag. Marcus, Liria said quietly, you look ... thinking hard. I am thinking hard, Marcus said. He pulled out a small electronic device from his bag. It was a circuit analyzer he used. For troubleshooting broken systems? Princess, do you trust me? Yes, even if I do something that the rules say not to do. Liria thought about this. On my world, we have very important rules. Mother says rules keep everyone safe. But ... She paused. Sometimes good thing and rule thing not same? Marcus smiled. Out. This little alien understood something that many adults never figured out. Sometimes he agreed. This is one of those times. He opened the access panel next to the door. Inside were dozens of colored wires and circuit boards. To most people, it looked like chaos. To Marcus, it was a language he had been reading for 15 years. What you doing? Liria asked, fascinated. I'm going to convince the computer that there's no contamination. Marcus connected his analyzer to the main control circuit. The computer is scared because its sensors are telling it scary stories. I'm going to help it understand the truth. His fingers moved quickly through the electronic maze. He bypassed the contamination sensors, rerouted the safety protocols, and created a temporary override that would fool the AI into thinking everything was normal. Is that ... allowed? Liria asked. No, Marcus said honestly. I could get in. A lot of trouble for this, but you need medical help now, not in 4 hours. The door panel beeped softly and turned from red to green. The lock clicked open. You did it, Liria said, clapping her hands. Marcus felt proud for about 2 seconds. Then his communicator exploded with angry voices. Warning. Authorized access detected in Medical Bay 7. Who bypassed the contamination lockdown? Marcus Chen, respond immediately. Marcus turned down the volume on his communicator. Come on, Princess. Let's get you fixed up properly. The medical bay was clean and bright after the dark tunnels. Advanced alien medical equipment sat next to simple, human first aid stations. Marcus had never been happier to see a proper medical scanner. Okay, Princess. Let's see how bad those cuts really are. He helped her onto an examination table and activated the medical scanner. It was designed to work with many different alien species. The screen lit up with a detailed view of Liria's injuries. Marcus frowned as he read the display. The cuts were deeper than he thought, and she had lost more blood than was safe. Without proper treatment, she could have serious problems, but the human-built medical systems had everything needed to help her. Synthetic bandages that would bond with Zephyrian skin, medicine that would help her blood clot properly. Everything the computers should have let them access hours ago. This might feel strange, Marcus told her as he prepared the medical equipment, but it will make you much better. As he worked, his communicator kept buzzing with angry messages. His supervisor was furious. Station security wanted to know why. He had broken contamination protocols. The Zephyrian military was demanding explanations. Marcus ignored them all. Right now, nothing mattered except the small blue girl who had trusted him enough to follow him through dark tunnels and dangerous climbs. "Marcus," Liria said, as he applied the new medical bandages. "Are you in trouble because of me?" "Maybe, Marcus," said, "but that's not your fault. I made my choice." "Why you choose help me instead of follow rules?" Marcus paused in his work. It was a good question, because rules are made to protect people. But sometimes to really protect someone, you have to break the rules. That not make sense? Marcus laughed. "I know humans don't always make sense. We have this saying, rules are important, but people are more important." Liria thought about this. Zephyrians not think like this. We follow law always. Law keep everyone safe. "Your laws are probably very good," Marcus said. "But sometimes there are situations your laws never thought about. New problems that need new solutions." He finished applying the medical treatment and checked the scanner again. Much better. The bleeding had stopped, and the medicine was already helping her. "Body heal. There. You should be fine now." Marcus started cleaning up the medical supplies. "Marcus," Liria said seriously, "when I see Mother, I tell her about rules and people." "Oh, I tell her human Marcus break rules to save me. I tell her maybe Zephyrian rules need..." "What word?" "Changes." Marcus felt a warm glow in his chest. Maybe some good would come from this crazy day after all. His communicator buzzed again. This time, it was a new voice. Formal, important. "Human maintenance worker Chen. This is Queen Zara of the Zephyrian Empire. We have been monitoring your communications. Where is my daughter?" Marcus looked at Liria, who had gone very still at the sound of her mother's voice. "She's right here, Your Majesty. She's safe, and her injuries are treated." He handed the communicator to Liria. "Mama," Liria said in her musical language. The relief in Queen Zara's voice was clear, even through the static. She spoke rapidly, and Zephyrian and Liria answered just as quickly. Then Liria switched back to common language. "Mama, I want you to meet my friend Marcus. He saved me when nobody else could reach me." Through the communicator came a pause. Then, "Mr. Chen, my daughter, tells me you have improvised your way to her rescue." "Yes, Your Majesty. I'm sorry if I caused any problems with your search teams." "Problems?" Queen Zara's voice carried a strange note. "Mr. Chen, while my military spent hours planning the perfect rescue operation, you actually rescued her. I believe we need to talk." Marcus looked at Liria, who was smiling at him with pure joy. "Yes, Your Majesty," he said. "I think we do." Marcus was cleaning up the last of the medical supplies when the station shuddered around them. Not the gentle vibration of normal operations, but a violent shake that made everything rattle. "What was that?" Liria asked, gripping the medical table. Before Marcus could answer, the station's AI spoke in its calm, electronic voice, warning. "Hull breach detected in Section 12 Alpha. Emergency atmospheric venting in progress. All personnel evacuate immediately." Marcus felt his blood turn cold. Section 12 Alpha was the area they had just come from. The route they needed to take back to the upper levels. "Marcus?" Liria's voice was small and scared. "What is hull breach?" "It means the station's wall has a hole in it," Marcus explained, trying to keep his voice steady. "The air is being sucked out into space." His communicator crackled to life. Janet's panicked voice filled the medical bay. "Marcus, the whole section you came through is losing atmosphere. The emergency bulkheads are sealing it off. You need to dig to find another way out." Marcus pulled out his datapad and called up the station map. His heart sank as he looked at their options. The hull breach had triggered automatic safety systems. Emergency bulkheads had slammed shut, cutting off every passage they had used to get here. "There has to be another way," he muttered, studying the map. There were 2 routes left. The first was through the main corridors, the safe, approved path that the Zephyrian rescue teams were using. But those corridors were on the other side of the sealed sections. To reach them, they would have to go up 3 levels, across half the station, and then back down. It would take at least 2 hours. The second route was marked in red with warning symbols. It went through the external maintenance corridors, the passages that ran along the outside of the station's hull. They were meant for emergency repairs in spacesuits, not for people walking through them. Marcus Chen. Queen Zara's voice came through the communicator, sharp with worry. What is your situation? We're trapped, Your Majesty. The safe route is cut off. I'm looking for alternatives. My military advisors are studying the station plans. They estimate 2 hours to reach you through the main corridors. Marcus looked at the medical scanner's readings from Liria's treatment. The medicine would keep her stable for a while, but she was still weak from blood loss. 2 hours of walking through long corridors might be more than her small body could handle. There's a faster way, Marcus said slowly, but it's dangerous. How dangerous? Queen asked. Marcus stared at the external corridor route on his map. Very. Then we wait for the safe route, Queen Zara said firmly. I will not risk my daughter's life for speed. But as she spoke, another alarm began blaring. The station's AI announced, Warning. Life support failure in medical section 7. Atmospheric recycling offline. Oxygen levels decreasing. Marcus checked the medical bay's environmental display. The oxygen level was dropping slowly, but steadily. It may be 90 minutes of breathable air left, Your Majesty, Marcus said quietly. We don't have 2 hours. Silence on the communicator. Then what is this dangerous route? External maintenance corridors. They run along the outside of the station. People aren't supposed to use them without spacesuits. Then you cannot use them. Marcus looked at his tool belt. Among his equipment was an emergency breathing mask and a portable air tank standard. Gear for maintenance workers who might encounter gas leaks or oxygen areas. It was designed for short-term use, maybe 30 minutes. Not enough for 2 people, but maybe enough for 1 small alien child. Actually, Marcus said, I think we can. Marcus, no. Junaid's voice cut through the conversation. Those corridors aren't pressurized. The temperature is near freezing. You don't have proper equipment? I have some equipment, Marcus said. He was already pulling the emergency breathing gear from his belt. And I know the station better than anyone. He knelt down in front of Liria. Princess, I need to ask you something very important. Do you trust me completely? Liria looked into his eyes. Yes, good. Because we're going to take a walk on the outside of the station. Liria's golden eyes went wide. Outside? In space? Not in space exactly. In corridors that have space on one side and the station on the other. It will be cold and scary, but it's the only way to get you back to your mother quickly. Will you come with me? Marcus smiled, though his heart was breaking a little. Of course. I wouldn't send you anywhere I wouldn't go myself. What he didn't say was that the breathing equipment would only keep one of them alive during the journey. But that was his choice to make, not hers to worry about. Your Majesty, Marcus said into the communicator, I'm going to take the external route. We'll be at the main docking bay in 45 minutes. Mr. Chen. Queen Zara's voice was strained. If something happens to my daughter, it won't, Marcus said with more confidence than he felt. I promise. He spent the next few minutes preparing. The emergency breathing mask went over Liria's face, with the air tank strapped to her small back. His heavy maintenance jacket went around her shoulders, far too big but warm. Emergency chemical heat packs from his toolkit went into the jacket pockets. What about you? Liria asked, her voice muffled by the breathing mask. Humans are tough, Marcus said, wrapping a thin emergency blanket around himself. We're good at handling cold temperatures. It was only half true. He could survive the cold for a while, but not as long as they would need. And the thin atmosphere in the external corridors would make breathing difficult. But he had worked in low-oxygen environments before. He could hold his breath when necessary. He could push through the discomfort. He could do this. The access door to the external corridors was marked with warnings in 6 different languages. Marcus used his maintenance codes to override the safety locks. Cold air hit them like a physical blow as the door opened. Liria gasped behind her breathing mask. Stay close to me, Marcus said. Hold on to my belt and don't let go, no matter what. The external corridor was like walking through a metal canyon. On their left was the station's hull, warm and solid. On their right was a transparent wall showing the star-filled darkness of space. Below them, the corridor floor was metal grating that let them see all the way down to the station's bottom. "Beautiful," Liria whispered, looking out at the stars. Marcus smiled. Even in danger, she could find wonder in the universe. They walked steadily through the freezing corridor. Marcus's breath came out in clouds of steam. His fingers were getting numb despite his work gloves. But Liria seemed comfortable in his jacket and breathing gear. "Marcus," she said after they had walked for 10 minutes. "Why you give me warm things and keep cold things?" "Because you're smaller," Marcus said. "Small people get cold faster. But you getting very cold. I can see." Marcus was getting very cold. His emergency blanket wasn't much protection against the near-freezing temperature. His breath was getting shorter as the thin air made his lungs work harder. But they were making good time. The docking bay was getting closer. "I'm okay," he told her. "Humans are built for this kind of thing." Another half-truth. Humans were adaptable, but they weren't built for freezing space corridors with thin air. He was running on determination and stubbornness now. "Marcus," Liria said, and he could hear worry in her young voice. "You're breathing different now, like when I was hurt." She was right, his breathing was getting labored. The cold and thin air were taking their toll. He estimated they had another 15 minutes of walking before they reached the docking bay. He wasn't sure he could make it 15 more minutes, but he would, because a small alien child was counting on him, because her mother was waiting, because sometimes humans did impossible things when someone else needed them to. "I'm fine, princess," he said, though his voice came out rougher than he intended. "Just saving energy." They kept walking through the corridor of stars, Marcus fighting against his body's limits with every step, and Liria staying brave because she trusted him completely. Ahead of them, the lights of the main docking bay grew slowly brighter. "Almost there," Marcus whispered, more to himself than to her. "Almost there," Liria agreed, squeezing his hand with her small blue fingers. Together, they walked toward safety, one step at a time. Marcus's legs felt like heavy metal as they approached the docking bay entrance. Each step took more effort than the last. His breath came in short, painful gasps, and ice crystals had formed on his eyebrows and hair. But the warm glow of lights ahead kept him moving. "Marcus," Liria said, her voice worried behind the breathing mask. "Your hands shaking?" Marcus looked down. She was right. His hands were trembling from the cold, and his grip on the corridor rail was getting weaker. "Just a little cold," he said, though his words came out slurred. Almost, almost there. Through the transparent wall, he could see the docking bay. Zephyrian soldiers in silver armor were waiting near their sleek ships, and they're standing. Taller than the rest was a figure in flowing robes that seemed to shimmer like starlight Queen Zara, Mama, Liria said, pressing her small face against the cold wall. Marcus used his maintenance codes one last time to open the docking bay access door. Warm air rushed out to meet them, and Marcus almost cried with relief. They had made it. "Go," he told. Liria gently pushing her toward the opening. "Go to your mother." But Liria didn't move. Instead, she looked up at Marcus with concern in her golden eyes. "You come too." "I will," Marcus promised, though his vision was starting to blur. Just need a minute to catch my breath." The docking bay erupted in activity as Liria stepped. Through the door, Zephyrian soldiers rushed forward, but Queen Zara was faster. She swept her daughter into her arms, speaking rapidly in their musical language. Marcus leaned heavily against the doorframe, watching the reunion. His job was done. Liria was safe. That was all that mattered. But as he tried to step into the warm docking bay, his legs finally gave out. He stumbled and fell to one knee, then both knees. The cold and thin air had taken more out of him than he realized. "Marcus." Liria's voice cut through the chatter of Zephyrian soldiers. She pulled away from her mother and ran back to him. "I'm okay," Marcus said weakly. Just tired. Queen Zara approached slowly, her golden eyes taking in Marcus's condition. Ice crystals on his clothes, his pale skin, his labored breathing. She said something in Zephyrian to her soldiers, and two of them immediately moved to help Marcus too. "His feet. Easy," one of the soldiers said in perfect common language. "Medical team is coming." As they helped Marcus to a nearby bench, Liria stayed close to him. She had taken off the breathing mask and was looking between Marcus and her mother with an expression of determination. "Mama," Liria said in common language so Marcus could understand. "This is Marcus. He saved me." Queen Zara knelt down to Marcus's eye level. Up close, she was even more impressive, tall and elegant, with silver hair that moved like liquid mercury and eyes that held the wisdom of ages. "Mr. Chen," she said formally, "my daughter tells me you rescued her from the maintenance levels." "Did what anyone would do," Marcus said, still breathing hard. "No," Liria said firmly. "Not anyone. Tell Mama what you did." Marcus looked embarrassed. "Your Majesty, it was nothing special. He gave me his warm jacket." Liria interrupted, her voice getting stronger. "He gave me the breathing mask so I could breathe. He walked through the cold space corridor with just thin blanket." Zara's eyes widened slightly. "He broke the computer rules to get medicine for my cuts," Liria continued. "He climbed dangerous tunnels to take me safe way when everyone else said wait." "Liria," Marcus said quietly. "You don't need to, yes." "I do," Liria said. And suddenly she sounded much older than 7. She looked directly at her mother and spoke the words that would change everything. "He saved me, Mom. When nobody else could reach me, when everyone else followed rules and waited for Safeway, Marcus came and saved me. He almost died to keep me alive." The docking bay fell completely silent. Even the Zephyrian soldiers stopped what they were doing to listen. Queen Zara stared at Marcus for a long moment. "You gave her your protective equipment. You kept none for yourself. She needed it more," Marcus said simply. "Why?" The question hung in the air. Marcus thought about all the complicated reasons: duty, compassion, human nature, the inability to watch a child suffer. But in the end, the answer was simple. "Because she's just a kid," he said. "And kids shouldn't have to be scared and alone." Queen Zara was quiet for several heartbeats. When she spoke again, her voice was softer than before. "My people have rules for everything, Mr. Chen. Rules for how to rescue someone. Rules for what risks to take. Rules for when to act and when to wait." She paused. "In 6 hours, my military would have rescued Liria safely, following every protocol. Your people's way was safer," Marcus said. "I just got lucky." Lucky Queen Zara stood and began pacing slowly. "Mr. Chen, while my trained soldiers spent hours planning the perfect rescue, you actually rescued her. While our computers calculated acceptable risk levels, you took unacceptable risks to save a child who wasn't even your species." Marcus didn't know what to say to that. Mama, Liria said quietly. "Marcus told me humans think people more important than rules." Queen Zara stopped pacing and looked at her daughter. He said rules made to protect people. But sometimes to really protect someone, you have to break rules." The Queen looked back at Marcus, who was finally starting to warm up, thanks to the heated medical blanket someone had wrapped around him. "Is that what you believe, Mr. Chen? That people are more important than rules?" Marcus thought carefully before answering. "I believe rules are important, Your Majesty. But I also believe that when someone needs help right now, you help them right now. You don't wait for the perfect solution." A human medical team arrived and began checking Marcus's condition. As they worked, Queen Zara watched them with interest. "Your people," she said to Marcus, "they don't follow protocols the way mine do." "No," Marcus admitted. "We're kind of messy that way. We improvise a lot. We take risks that probably aren't smart. We break rules when we think it's for a good reason, yet you succeeded where we failed." Marcus shook his head. "I didn't fail because I'm human, Your Majesty. I succeeded because I got lucky and because your daughter is incredibly brave." "Brave, yes," Queen Zara said, looking at Liria with pride. "But she was only able to be brave because you gave her reason to trust. You shared your food, treated her injuries, and protected her with your own body." The medical team finished there. Workin reported that Marcus would be fine after some rest and warming up. As they prepared to take him to recover, Queen Zara spoke again. "Mr. Chen, I would like to visit you tomorrow, when you are feeling better. I have some things I would like to discuss, of course, Your Majesty." "Yes." The medical team helped Marcus toward the door. Liria ran up and hugged him carefully. "Thank you, Marcus," she whispered, "for everything." "Thank you, Princess," Marcus said back, "for trusting me." The next day, Marcus woke up in the station's medical center feeling much better. His fingers and toes tingled as they finished warming up. But otherwise, he was fine. A soft knock on his door interrupted his breakfast. "Come in." Zara entered, no longer wearing her formal robes. Instead, she wore simple clothes that made her look more like a mother than an empress. "How are you feeling?" she asked. "Much better, thank you."
How is Liria?
Completely healed and asking when she can see you again, the queen smiled. She has been telling everyone about her adventure with Marcus, the human who breaks rules too. Save people. Marcus laughed. "I hope that doesn't get me in too much trouble. Actually, it might get you the opposite." Queen Zara sat down in the chair next to his bed. "Mr. Chen, what you did has made me think very hard about how my people approach problems, Your Majesty. We are very good at following rules, very good at being safe and careful, and making sure everyone follows protocols. But sometimes—" She paused. "Sometimes a child needs someone who will break the rules to save them." Marcus nodded slowly. "I am going to recommend to the Galactic Council that we establish a new kind of partnership with humanity." Queen Zara continued. "When someone needs rescue, when someone needs help that cannot wait for perfect solutions, we will call on humans to do what you do best."
What's that?
Queen Zara smiled, and for the first time since he met her, she looked completely at peace. "Care about people more than rules," she said. "Take impossible risks for others. Be willing to sacrifice everything to help someone who needs it." She stood up. "Be human." As she reached the door, Marcus called after her. "Your Majesty, will I see Liria again?" Queen Zara turned back with a warm smile. "Mr. Chen, you saved the life of a Zephyrian princess. In our culture, that makes you family. You will see much more of both of us than you might expect." After she left, Marcus lay back in his bed and thought about everything that had happened. He had just been trying to help a scared child. He never expected it to lead to galactic partnerships and cultural understanding. But maybe that was the most human thing of all, just helping when help was needed, without worrying about what would happen next. Outside his window, he could see ships from a dozen different worlds docked at the station. Well, maybe he thought. The galaxy was ready to learn that sometimes the best solutions came not from perfect planning, but from simple kindness. And maybe, just maybe, humanity had something valuable to offer the stars after all.